All right, let's get into it. Google is making another run at smart glasses. You know, that whole category of tech they famously tried to pioneer and famously bombed. But hold on, this is not the same old story. We're going to break down why their planned 2026 comeback is built on a completely different game plan and why this time they might actually pull it off.
So let's take a quick trip back in time, over a decade ago. You absolutely remember the original Google Glass, right? It was so ambitious, so futuristic, and for a hot minute, it really felt like this was it, the next giant leap in how we use computers.
But let's not sugarcoat it, it was a total flop. I mean, it was clunky, the privacy issues were a nightmare, and nobody really knew what to do with it besides a handful of super nerdy developers. It basically became the poster child for how not to launch a revolutionary new product.
Which of course brings us to the big question. After a public faceplant that epic, why on earth would Google even think about trying this again? What could possibly have changed? Well, as it turns out, just about everything.
First things first, Google has essentially taken its old playbook, thrown it in the shredder, and started from scratch. This isn't about just one flashy new gadget. No, they've clearly learned some hard lessons, and the new approach is way more strategic and, frankly, a whole lot smarter. I mean, just look at this. It's like night and day. Back in 2013, Glass was a lonely, isolated product that Google tried to do all by itself. It was that classic, if you build it, they will come mindset. Today, the plan is to launch an entire software platform, Android XR, and they're doing it with a whole team of partners. They flipped the script. Instead of just pushing the tech, they're focusing on content and apps first, tapping into that massive Android ecosystem that millions of us already use. This fixes the single biggest problem with the original Glass. There was nothing to do with the thing. So what exactly is Android XR? The best way to think of it is like, well, it's the operating system for your face. It's not a pair of glasses itself. It's the software that's going to run on lots of different glasses from different companies. The whole point is to seamlessly pull in all the stuff you already use, your Android apps, your widgets, your AI assistants like Gemini, and put it right in your line of sight. See? It's all about building an ecosystem, not just selling one device.
And this is where it gets really smart. Instead of going it alone, Google has assembled like the Avengers of smart glasses. You've got Samsung, an absolute monster at building hardware at scale. You've got Gentle Monster, a luxury brand, to make sure these things actually look cool and not, dorky. Warby Parker is on board to get them into actual stores where people who care about style can try them on. And they're even working with a company called Xreal, which is already in this game to help prove the platform works.
Okay, so a killer strategy is great, but that's only half the story, right? The other, maybe even more important half, is timing. The world is just a completely different place than it was a decade ago. And the market, well, the market might finally be ready for this.
Just look at this number, 110%. That's the year-over-year growth in global smart glass shipments in the first half of 2025. This isn't some tiny little hobbyist market anymore. There is real, growing interest from actual consumers.
And what's cool is we're seeing a real market actually take shape. It's not one size fits all. You've got accessible options like the Meta Ray bands at one end. Then, way up at the super high end, you have professional gear like the HoloLens 2. And where are Google and its partners like Samsung aiming? Right for that sweet spot in the middle. Premium, but not sell your car expensive. And if you need one single piece of proof that people will buy smart glasses if you get the formula right, here it is. 2 million. That's how many units of the Ray-Ban Meta glasses had been sold by early 2025. 2 million. That proves that when you blend style with real-world usefulness, people will open their wallets. The demand is officially there.
So we have the new strategy, and we have a market that's waking up. But what's the big idea here? What's the end game? Because this is about way more than just getting notifications to float in front of your eyes. This is about a fundamental change in how we interact with technology itself.
The buzzword you're going to hear a lot is ambient computing. And yeah, it sounds kind of techy, but the core idea is really simple. The goal is for you to stop staring down at a screen. It's about weaving digital information into the world around you so seamlessly that it actually helps you, enhances what you're doing, without pulling you out of the moment. It's tech that's there when you need it and totally invisible when you don't.
So what does that actually look like day to day? Well, imagine you're walking in a new city. Instead of looking down at your phone, the blue line for directions is just painted on the sidewalk right in front of you. Or you see a subtle little shimmer in your vision that lets you know your Uber has pulled up. Or you just glance at a cool-looking building, ask Gemini what's the story here, and get a quick summary. It's all about small, useful enhancements to your real life. It's a really exciting vision for sure, but let's get real for a second.
Building a whole new computing platform is never easy, and Google's running headfirst into some massive roadblocks that could derail this entire thing before it even gets off the ground.
And hey, you don't have to take my word for it. This is straight from the horse's mouth. This is from Alphabet, Google's parent company, in their official filings to investors. They state, flat out, that they expect to face heightened regulatory scrutiny. They know the storm is coming.
And that storm isn't on the horizon, it's already here. This is their reality right now. The U.S. Department of Justice has already ruled against them on their search business. They're dealing with major heat in their ad tech business. The European Commission slapped him with a €3 billion fine. They lost that huge case against Epic Games over the Play Store, and they're being investigated for not complying with Europe's new digital laws. I mean, they are fighting a war on multiple fronts with regulators all across the globe.
So here's the fundamental conflict. On one hand, you have Google with, honestly, a perfect setup. A smart platform for a strategy, a dream team of partners, and a market that is clearly signaling that it's ready. But on the other hand, they are sailing directly into a hurricane of legal and regulatory challenges that could change their entire business.
Which leaves us with the billion-dollar question. We have this unstoppable force, Google's new strategy and a ready market, meeting this immovable object, global regulators. So what's going to give? Will we finally see smart glasses have their mainstream moment and become the next great computing platform? Or will all these hurdles keep them as a fascinating but ultimately niche piece of tech? The next few years are going to be very interesting to watch.